Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last session of our series, Legal Expert Guide to Data Breaches and Ransomware Attacks in Southeast Asia. As you know, we'll be discussing Indonesia and related laws in today's session. Myself, Vinay Ahuja, and I'm a regional partner with DFDL. Before we go to the event, a small intro about us who have not attended any of our previous sessions. So we are a Southeast Asian firm with full legal and tax services across 12 offices in 9 countries. We sit with around 200 advisors and 24 nationalities. That kind of creates a regional capabilities into our offices. As a matter of practice, we take great pride in our regional capabilities with our regional practice groups and with our core sector competencies. We advise more than 2,500 clients across the region. If we were to talk about Indonesia, we work in Indonesia. We have been established there since 2012, and we work in exclusive collaboration with Mataram partners in Indonesia. Today we have, for the topic, we have Sri Wahyu Ningsih. She is our senior legal consultant in Jakarta, and she leads our corporate practices. So today we'll be discussing the data breach and the ransomware attacks regulations, general practices, and our practical experiences in Indonesia. So as most of you will be aware, there has been, one could say, a significant rise into the data breaches and the ransomware attacks in the region. I would more call it the digitalization of the society, and kind of coupled with COVID, this has kind of led to a larger, its growth should be a negative term for this, but yes, a larger growth into ransomware attacks in the region. Last month, there was a training done by UNODC for Thailand, Malaysia, and Philippines, and kind of it was reported a rise of 600% cases in 2021 in ransomware attacks and data breaches. And they estimated that the world will be seeing around one ransomware attack every 12 seconds. So yeah, so we are moving towards a little dangerous World Wide Web. And let's see how the companies and how our clients need to be well prepared for any of this. So welcome, Sri, and we look forward to a discussion with you. Before kind of as an introduction to the general, one could say, overview of Indonesia, could you explain like what has been the or the level of growing prevalence of ransomware attacks in Indonesia? Are we seeing a lot of data breaches, or what are the top harms being currently done because of these data breaches? And in your experience or your knowledge, what are the industries most commonly affected by these data breach incidents?
Okay, thank you very much, Vinay, for the opening and introductions. Okay, jump into the subject of the of our discussion today. As you mentioned earlier, that I think it's not only happened in Indonesia, but it's a global phenomenon. Whereas due to the digitalization world and the electronic system growth that is impacted our day-to-day life, especially supported by the pandemic situation in the last couple of years, where in every sector of business in Indonesia, mostly and majorly are mandated to do a work from home, and due to the situation, the level of growth of cyber attacks or ransomware and so on and similar situation has been growing in Indonesia. We have a national agency, governmental agency called BSSN. It is actually stands for State Cyber and Passport Authority. This authority is actually reporting directly to the president, and they are supervising and managing cyber and password related affairs in Indonesia. And according to the BSSN data, this year alone, starting from January until August 2021, there has been around more than 880 million cyber attacks in Indonesia. And if we're seeing from the data collection from the private enterprise called McAfee Enterprise, according to the information they provided, they also noted that there has been, significant increase in terms of cyber attacks and ransomware, especially with regards to the governmental sectors and entertainment, which is suffering around 60% level of increase. But there's also good news that it is noted in some areas, in some sectors of business, is also having a decrease for around 50% compared to last year in the sector of telecommunication, and 26% of decrease for factory and industrial sector. But if we're talking about the industries that most commonly affected by data breach incidents, the top five are actually governmental authorities, and then followed by telecommunication, energy, media, and industry. I think for some public, it's quite uncommon that banking and financial sectors is not actually in the top 5, because if we see, or what we heard from the news, the sector or the institution that are oftenly hurt, who's suffering from data breach or ransomware, is actually banking and financial sectors, because if we're talking about what are the type of the top harms, of course, it's a leak of private data. Everything that mentioned in this slide is actually there. The personal data leaks that may or may not lead to monetary loss or frauds, and virus infection, and also literal or real monetary loss that is suffered by the relevant organization or the persons. If we see from the data issued by Indonesia Financial Service Authority, banking sectors, starting from the first semester of 2020 until the first semester of this year, there has been a total of real monetary loss of around more than 240 billion rupees, or around $17 million. And when it comes to the personal customers of the banking sectors, it is known that the monetary loss, the actual monetary loss suffered, is around $1 million. So it's actually a pretty what do you call it? It's a pretty updated, or a pretty fun subject nowadays in Indonesia, especially related to the financial situation, where the OJK, or the Financial Service Authorities, has been having this campaign for the people, for the societies, to be more aware about the importance of personal data and what it may cause, what it may result in, and losses and damages that it may create.
Okay. Thanks, Sri. You mentioned about authorities directly reporting to the president, and you talked about OJK, and you talked about government being one of the largest, one of the sectors which is attacked mainly. So can we say that there is already a robust law, or a complete structure of laws and regulations existing in Indonesia on data breach incidents? So can you give an overview of what are the laws and regulations that are currently governing data breach incidents in Indonesia?
Okay. Luckily, Indonesia has been aware of the importance of legal instrument to regulate data protection or data breaches and electronic system information and so on. So since 2008, Indonesia has issued electronic transaction and information law, which is the law number 11. But again, as a civil law country, where Indonesia is adopting civil law system, meaning there's no way this one huge subject issues can be regulated in one legal instrument only, and that's why one law and the other laws are interconnecting. Let's just say for data breaches, it's not only regulated under the IT law, but it can also be stretched out into criminal law code. And then if it's related to a civil case for compensation, it can also be stretched out into the Indonesian civil code. But if we talk about private data protection in particular, we also have a special law for that. It's called Minister Regulation of Minister Informatics and Communication number 26 of 2016. But again, if we're talking about whether it is comprehensive or not, we personally and the public don't think so, and that is why the government is actually in the discussion to be issuing a special law that will be regulating private data protection. Oh yeah, and I think it also needs to be noted that when it comes to data incidents, data breaches for banking and financial sectors, they will be regulated under different regime. They will be regulated under the OJK or Financial Service Authority regulations.
Thank you, Sri. I believe Indonesia is pretty advanced in terms of some of our other jurisdiction in ASEAN when we talk about governing law related to data breach incidents.
Sure.
Again, beyond law, if one could talk about what should be the response of our clients, or what should be the cybersecurity best practices which companies should adapt today, or in your view, what are the top ones for any internal or external data breach incidents?
Okay, if we're talking about response to internal and external data breach incidents, I think the first key point that needs to be highlighted is preparation. The organization needs to have a system to prepare instead of just rehabilitating the issue. They need to have the preparation system first by having, if it's possible, by having an independent team, whether internal or external, by having mitigation guidelines, by having a protection. I mean, the easiest way can be in a form of antivirus or anti-malware, and by creating awareness within the organization of the importance of data protection, and if possible, and probably also implementing sanctions in terms of internal breaches that probably made or conducted on the by internal parties intentionally. And that is why building awareness and preparation is very important. But in case the data breaches or cyber attacks is already happened, there are not regular but general steps that can be taken by the clients or their organization. The first step is identification and analysis. We need to identify and what type of the breaches, type of the viruses, and the analysis system that is compromised, and so on. And after that, after we have obtained identification and analysis, the organization can conduct containment activities, containment in a framework to prevent the viruses and the attacks to spread further within the system. And then, if possible, after the identification, containment, then it can go further to delete the impacted files, the viruses and malware, and then recovery. through file decryption and then system validation. The last step, if it's deemed further, then the organization can brought this further to the relevant authority, to BSSN or to the police if they deem necessary. But in order to do that, the organization needs to build a proper documentation and proper report and have documenting evidence in a proper manner so their case can be processed further.
Thank you. So again, when we talk about best practices adopted as a response team, what next? Like, if one could say any policies, I mean, though you answered this question in a kind of what are the pre-steps, but what for us, if we have to immediately prepare for an incident, or have you seen any practical experiences where a data breach incident has happened and what did the company actually do, or what they could have done better, or any of your related experiences?
Okay, in this matter, BSSN actually has issued some sort of guidelines that can be used by a personal or institution in order to increase their data protection and to anticipate any unwanted cyber attacks. These steps are actually pretty simple, but sometimes neglected due to unawareness of the importance. And we took these steps for granted, such as to deactivate the port surface plugin to unused devices, and then downloading or implementing antivirus legal one, and notify the relevant parties within the organization not to enter into illegal websites, not to download suspicious emails, attachments, and so on. And then I think one of the most crucial ones is that the data backup. It is very easy, but sometimes forget and slip off our mind. And BSSN is actually advised that instead of having that, not instead of, but to complement the data backup that normally are conducted through online now in the cloud system or whatever system that the company has, it is advised to also have a offline storage system, because just in case that the system needs to be quarantined or need to be contained, then the company will always have the backup in online storage. And of course, in general manners, the company needs to conduct susceptibility identification, patch security, system management. And it also needs to conduct it periodically. And then it also advised for every person or every parties within the organization to conduct password change, because it is also very easy, but sometimes it is forgotten. So yeah, password change. And then active communication with BSSN. BSSN is actually open for any suggestions or any reports that is relevant with regard to the cyber attacks and data protections. Oh yeah, and also when it comes to financial and banking institution sectors, there's separate guidelines issued by OJK, Financial Service Authorities, that can be used by bankers or banking system to support their data protection system. It's called Blueprint. Nice name.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Sri, and this is really helpful. And I'm sure with the comments and inputs you have shared, our attendees will have some knowledge, or at least they can reach out to us if they need any further information. Maybe we'll pause for some 30 seconds in case any of the attendees have any questions, and then maybe we can have a small Q&A session. So maybe I'll give 15-20 seconds just in case any attendees have any questions.
Sure.
So Sri, we have one question. So I'll read the question for you. Is there any notification requirement under Indonesian laws for ransomware attacks or before making any ransomware payments?
Actually, from written law from written law perspective, there's no mandates that payment or notification before making payments to ransomware needs to be conducted. But it is advised through the campaign by the government not to pay. Actually, not to pay any ransomware, and to notify BSSN directly with regards to the these incidents, especially when it's related to material information that can be that can influence the major situation or the material situation of the company and the people. So in short, no, there's no obligation to report, but in the other hand, it is advised not to conduct the payment.
Thank you, Sri. I believe that was the only question we received. So thank you all for attending today's session, and hope this was helpful to you. And in case you need any assistance in drafting any of your policies, or in case any response plan, or you have any legal questions relating to data breach incidents or ransomware attacks, please feel free to reach out to us or on the email IDs provided there. And also, if possible, please leave your comments, inputs, questions you have any on our survey. It was great talking to you, Sri. Thank you once again for joining us this afternoon. And thank you all of you for listening to us. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.